This is an aluminum pan, and this is also an aluminum pan. As you can see, these look quite different. That's because this is just a standard aluminum pan, and this is anodized aluminum. Today we're going to talk about the differences between these two types of cookware and which might be best for you. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. And today we are doing another cookware episode, a competition of aluminum versus aluminum. Now, aluminum is a very popular type of material when it comes to cookware. And first and foremost, it's highly conductive. In fact, aluminum is second only to this stuff, to copper, when it comes to conductivity. And all that means is, well, it's really fast heating and it also cools down quick when you turn down the heat. And that's great when you really need to control your cooking. Now, of course, aluminum is a lot less expensive than something like this. Copper is very expensive. So a lot of cookware is made out of aluminum. In fact, you might be cooking with a pan with aluminum in it, even if it's billed otherwise. For example, this stainless steel all-clad pan has a layer of aluminum in it, all for those reasons that we talked about. It conducts heat quickly, it's pretty inexpensive, and well, you really can't just cook with stainless steel. You need to be clad with something else. But today we are talking about two different types of aluminum cookware, this standard aluminum and this anodized aluminum cookware. Now, before we talk about their differences, let's talk about their similarities. And even though they look different, these are indeed both made out of aluminum. And because they are made out of aluminum, that means they are relatively light. You know, these things aren't that heavy. They've got some heft to them, but it's nothing like a cast iron pan or an enameled cast iron pan. These are, you know, relatively light. They're both also relatively inexpensive. They don't cost a fortune, you know, something like an all-clad stainless steel pan or this Maviel copper pan that I have. Those are really expensive. But even this all-clad anodized aluminum pan and just this basic aluminum pan that I got at Smart and Final, they're relatively inexpensive. They're also widely available. You know, you can buy these things anywhere. Again, I got this at Smart and Final. And I should also note that I've bought all these pans here. None of these are like sponsored or anything like that. Also, a pan like this, you know, this can easily be found. I see these at Target, you know, other retailers. They're really popular and they're pretty easy to find. Each of these is also available in different types. Of course, I have some skillets here, for example, but you know, you can also find these as like a pot or, you know, a saute pan. You can find different types of cookware made out of each of these materials. And both of these are really good at higher heat cooking. You know, these things are pretty much bulletproof. You know, you can use these on like a commercial range, you can use them under a broiler, and even something like this anodized aluminum all-clad pan is oven safe to like 500 degrees, which is a really high temperature, and that allows versatile cooking. And one last similarity with these pans has to do with the dishwasher. Now, it will depend on the brand that you get, but in general, you know, you probably want to hand wash each of these. I hand wash all of my aluminum cookware. Again, some might be labeled as dishwasher safe, but you know, traditional anodized aluminum cookware and aluminum cookware, it's not the best in the dishwasher. You can have bad reactions. I've heard of people actually turning their aluminum cookware like this black because of the way it reacts with the dishwashing detergent. And it can also cause some discoloration in something like this. So always follow the manufacturer's instructions, but just be aware of that. Now, of course, all cookware has its own set of pros and cons. So let's talk about this basic aluminum pan here first. And, you know, compared to the anodized aluminum, these are often less expensive. You know, this was like 20 bucks, which is a great price for a, you know, a durable, solid pan. Another benefit of this type of just plain aluminum is that you can monitor the cooking process better, especially when it comes to something like creating a sauce, creating that fond at the bottom that we talked about a few weeks ago when we made a pan sauce. You know, you can see those brown bits forming. You can really see the coloration of the food, which is really important when cooking a meal. It's a little bit harder to see in something like this just because of that color. Now, some of the downsides of a pan like this, just a plain aluminum pan, is that it can react with some foods, especially acidic foods. So if you're making like a wine sauce, for example, it might have just a little bit of an off flavor. And these also are not the best for cooking eggs. They can also lend kind of an off color to those eggs. Aluminum pan like this is also, we call these a little bit soft, and that just means that they can be dented, they can be scratched. You can use metal utensils with these, but you might want to be a little bit careful because they can be dented, especially as the heat gets high. And one last thing is that this handle can get hot. Now, this pan comes with a silicone handle that's removable, and it comes with it for a reason. That's just because it gets hot on a range. I was cooking with this just the other day, and you know, if you touch this part that is not protected by this silicone cover, it gets really, really hot. So if you do buy a pan like this, make sure it comes with a silicone cover or that you are using an oven mitt. Now let's talk about the anodized aluminum cookware. Now you might be wondering, what is anodized aluminum in the first place? Calphalon actually takes credit for inventing the process back when it was known as Commercial Aluminum Cookware Company, I believe. And it was in the 1960s that that company was able to take basic aluminum and put it through a process that hardens it and makes it less reactive, a little more dent and chip resistant, and you get something like this or something like this, just what's called an anodized aluminum. And you can tell it's anodized aluminum because it has this darker appearance. And since then, a lot of other companies have made anodized aluminum. This is all-clad. I've also got some vintage Magnolite. There's lots of different anodized aluminum out there. Now, one benefit of anodized aluminum, especially the more modern stuff, is that it can be found with a non-stick coating. So this all-clad pan, for example, is an anodized non-stick pan, but you can also find it in a more traditional, just anodized aluminum finish. And truth be told, I actually prefer this stuff. This is an older Calphalon pan, and it's just basic anodized aluminum. Now, because of that process, it is less susceptible to those reactions that we were talking about. So, you know, you can make those sauces, you can make those eggs in it, and you're not really gonna have those off colors, those off flavors. That's one of the benefits of that anodization process. Anodization, is that a word? We're gonna make it a word. Now, this stuff does tend to be more expensive than just this basic plain aluminum here. Now that, of course, will vary by manufacturer. Something like a Calphalon and all-clad is probably going to be more expensive, but in general, anodized aluminum is more expensive than just this plain stuff. Another benefit is that the handles tend to stay cool on the range. So these have these nice handles that are designed to stay cool, unlike this, you know, basic aluminum skillet that you kind of have to have this protective cover. Now, of course, once you put these in the oven, you know, all bets are off. The handles are going to get hot. But as far as the range goes, this tends to stay cool. Now, one detractor of this is, again, the opposite of the standard aluminum, is that it's a little bit harder to monitor the coloration of food. So, you know, if you really got to keep an eye on something and you want that nice browning of the sauce, and maybe you're building that fond or you're making a roux, it can be a little bit harder to tell because of the darker appearance of this surface. Another potential benefit of anodized aluminum cookware is that it might be able to be used on an induction range. And I did a whole episode on how to know if your pans are induction ready. And basically, if a magnet sticks to the bottom, it is induction ready. Now, as you see, this pan actually has a big steel plate on the bottom, and that makes it induction ready. So this can go on an induction range if you have one of those. But a plain basic aluminum pan like this is going to be a no-go if you have an induction stove. Then last but certainly not least is just the appearance. You know, this anodized aluminum, you know, I think more people would probably want something like this displayed in their homes than, you know, something like this. I mean, truth be told, this is restaurant ware. This is what, you know, we used in culinary school. This is what you'll see on everything from food trucks to professional restaurants. They don't really care about, you know, the cosmetic looks of their material. They just want something that works well, and that's what this does. But it doesn't look great. I don't think people are really going to want to be displaying this in their kitchen. But, you know, this stuff looks really nice. Anodized aluminum has this kind of this industrial appearance to it. It looks great. In fact, anodized aluminum looks so good that some manufacturers, even though they have like a stainless steel interior, like this all-clad LTD pan, it has an anodized aluminum finish on the outside. So, you know, you kind of get the best of both worlds if you want that darker appearance, but you want a stainless steel interior. So which of these is quote unquote better? Well, in reality, they both have their place in the kitchen, and they both certainly have a place in my kitchen. I enjoy cooking with both of these things. You know, I kind of like grabbing this one just when I kind of want to do, I don't know, I call it almost improvisational cooking. Something where, you know, I might really kind of be beating on the pan a little bit more, or I might just want something that is really easy to grab and go. But again, this isn't like the first thing that I would display in my kitchen because, you know, it doesn't look that great now. And these only get worse over time. These can look really nasty no matter how well you clean them. But this Calphalon pan, for example, I've had this a long time. And I also see these used in the thrift store, and they can look really good even years and years after being purchased. I think this pan is like 20 years old or something, and it still looks and functions great. So those are some of the pros and cons of this standard aluminum cookware and this anodized aluminum cookware. I hope this helps you decide which might be better for you, or maybe like me, you'll have a bit of both in your kitchen. I'd love to hear, which do you prefer using? Be sure to put that in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Welcome to my kitchen. I am so glad that you are here. Until next time, I hope you want to cook.